How much money is your hospital losing every day due to incomplete or missing documentation? It's likely far more than you realize. This is the silent drain on hospital revenue, and nurses are on the front line. Are you aware of the hidden costs buried within your charting? You're providing essential care, but are you equipped to capture the full value of that care? Because if it isn't documented, it can't be billed. That disconnect between patient care and hospital finances ends now. Welcome back to the Healthcare Nurses Network and Nurses Link Up mobile app podcast series. This is Breaking the Code, Nurses Unlocking Revenue Cycle Management. This series is your essential guide, delivering the financial knowledge you deserve to navigate the full healthcare landscape effectively. In Episode 3, we tackled charge capture in nursing documentation, ensuring accurate billing, written by Dr. Nicholas Abella. Prepare to see your role in a whole new financial light. You'll discover the shocking truth, how missing or incomplete documentation directly translates to lost hospital revenue leakage. Your power to protect resources, how your documentation practices are the foundation of accurate charge capture and compliance. Practical strategies, how to implement real-time charting, use standardized language, and understand what's billable to ensure every service you provide is accurately captured. Guiding you through these essential strategies are your hosts, ICU nurse, James Carter, BSN, RN, and nurse manager, Emily Ramirez, MSN, RN. Get ready to break the code. Your RCM transformation starts right now.
Welcome back to the Healthcare Nurses Network podcast, where we empower nurses with insights, strategies, and real-world solutions you can use right away on the floor.
That's right. We're into something that really impacts all of us nurses, and that's charge capture.
You got it, and how super important nursing documentation is.
Absolutely.
We're going to break down why this stuff really matters for the financial health of any healthcare organization, and how that trickles down to having the resources you need to provide the best patient care possible.
Yeah, it might seem like this charge capture thing is just like a behind-the-scenes back office kind of thing, but trust me, it's way more connected to your everyday work than you might think.
It totally is. So let's start with the basics. What exactly is charge capture?
Well, in a nutshell, it's all about keeping track of every single thing you do for a patient, every service, every procedure, even every single medication you give.
Like every IV, every little Band-Aid, everything.
Well, exactly. And the hospital uses that information to get paid by insurance companies or patients.
Okay, that makes sense. So then where does our nursing documentation fit into all of this?
It's like the foundation, the bedrock of the whole system. So your documentation is the proof that those services actually happen.
Like the receipts.
Exactly. AHIMA, the American Health Information Management Association, they put out a report in 2022 that said meticulous nursing documentation is like the cornerstone of a smooth and healthy revenue cycle.
So without it,
The whole financial structure of a hospital could be shaky.
that's kind of scary when you think about it.
It really is, because even those little things, those details that might seem insignificant can make a huge difference.
So what happens if our notes are missing, or they're not clear or complete enough?
That's when we run into trouble with revenue loss. You see, if something isn't documented properly, it's like it never happened in the eyes of the billing department.
So even if we give a patient a specific treatment that they absolutely need, if it's not written down the right way, the hospital is basically eating that cost.
Yeah, and those costs add up really quickly. It can be a big problem.
Wow, so it's more than just getting paid for what we do. It's also about making sure the hospital has the money to keep running and keep taking care of patients.
That's exactly right. And there's another big piece to this puzzle, too, compliance with all those regulations.
Oh, right, because healthcare is like super regulated.
Totally. And our documentation proves that we're following the rules and doing things by the book.
So it protects the hospital from getting in trouble with audits and penalties.
Exactly. Conifer Health Solutions, they had some really interesting insights. In 2023, they said that good documentation is a key performance indicator. It shows that you're sticking to those billing and reimbursement rules.
So basically, our notes help keep the hospital safe from both financial and legal risks.
Right on.
Okay, so we've talked about why all of this matters so much. Now, let's get into the nitty-gritty. What are some of the best ways we can make sure we're doing charge capture right?
Well, one of the biggest things you can do is document in real time as you're doing things.
So no more waiting until the end of your shift to try and remember everything.
Exactly. The Healthcare Financial Management Association, they're big proponents of real-time documentation. They even said it's the most effective way to guarantee you're capturing all those billable activities accurately.
I can see how that would make a difference when everything's fresh in your mind. You're less likely to forget those important details.
Exactly. And make sure that every medication, every dressing change, every little thing is recorded right when it happens.
Okay, so real-time documentation is key. What else?
Another super important tip is to use standardized language.
What do you mean by that?
So instead of using different words for the same thing, we all need to be on the same page using the same terms and abbreviations.
Like a common language for healthcare?
Precisely, and that makes it so much easier for the billing folks to understand what we did and code it correctly.
Makes sense. Less confusion equals more accurate billing.
Exactly. DII.ai. They're a company that uses AI for revenue cycle management. They talk a lot about this standardized language thing.
So using those recognized terms for procedures and diagnoses can really help make sure the billing codes match up perfectly with the care we actually gave.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. Okay, so we've got real-time documentation and standardized language. Any other big tips?
You know, it's really helpful to know what's actually billable in your specific area.
So not every single thing we do as nurses translates into a charge.
Right. Certain tasks are considered routine care and aren't separately billable, but there are lots of things that are.
So like giving certain medications, wound care, some specific procedures?
Exactly. And knowing the difference can help you make sure you're documenting the right things in enough detail.
So we can really focus on the entries that directly impact the hospital's bottom line.
Now, we've talked about why this is important and how to do it right. Let's talk about the impact accurate charge capture has on preventing revenue leakage.
Okay, revenue leakage. That sounds a little scary. What exactly is it?
It's basically when a hospital provides a service, but they don't get paid for it because something slipped through the cracks, usually because of documentation problems.
So it's like money flying out the window.
You could say that Change Healthcare, they did a report in 2020, and they had a really good example about this.
Oh, what was it?
It was about nurses giving IV antibiotics. Sometimes they would miss documenting all the details, like the specific medication, the dosage, the time, and the reason they gave it.
So like what kind of infection they were treating?
Exactly. And without that information, the billing team couldn't justify the charges.
So even though the nurses did the work and the patient got the medicine, the hospital lost money.
Yeah, and it wasn't just a little bit either. It added up to thousands of dollars in unbilled services every single month.
That's crazy just for missing a few details.
It shows you how important those little things are.
So documenting not just what we give, but all the specifics around it is crucial for the hospital's financial health.
Right. And beyond preventing this revenue leakage, accurate charge capture also helps with resource allocation.
Okay, what does that mean?
Basically, it means making sure the hospital has the money to invest in the right things to take care of patients.
Like enough staff, new equipment.
Exactly. When we're documenting everything correctly, it gives the hospital a clearer picture of their finances so they can make smarter decisions about where to spend money.
So accurate billing can actually help us give better care because it makes sure the hospital has the resources we need.
Now that we've covered a lot of ground, what are some things nurses can do to improve their documentation and charge capture right away?
That's a great question.
One of the best things you can do is make real-time documentation a habit. Build it into your workflow so it becomes second nature.
And I've heard checklists can be really helpful too.
Oh yeah, definitely, especially for those routine procedures like wound care or dressing changes.
So for example, with a wound care checklist, it would prompt you to document each step, cleaning the wound, applying ointment, dressing it, and how the patient responded.
Those checklists are like a safety net, making sure you don't miss anything important.
And it ensures we're capturing all those billable components of a procedure.
Exactly. Even something as specific as the type of dressing used can make a difference in the billing.
Wow, so many details.
It's true. And another thing that's really helpful is good communication with the billing team.
So we should be talking to the people who actually process the bills.
Absolutely. They can give us really valuable feedback on what we're doing well and where we can improve.
And I know some nurses might feel like real-time documentations is just one more thing to add to their already crazy busy day.
I get that, but honestly, documenting as you go actually saves time in the long run.
Yeah, so.
Because you're not trying to remember everything at the end of your shift when you're already exhausted.
And it helps avoid those frantic moments where you're like, wait, what kind of dressing did I use on Mr. Jones?
Exactly. Plus, it just makes for more accurate and complete documentation from the get-go.
Makes sense.
And if you're ever unsure about what's billable, don't be afraid to ask your billing department.
They're the experts.
They are. And most hospitals offer training sessions on this stuff too, so take advantage of those resources.
Great advice. So for all our listeners out there who want to make a difference starting today, focus on those key procedures and document them in real time.
Yeah, those few extra minutes can have a huge impact on your hospital's financial health.
And remember, accurate charge capture is about more than just money. It's about making sure your hospital has the resources to provide top-notch patient care.
Absolutely. By understanding your role in this process and using these best practices, you're making a real difference for your patients and your workplace.
And for even more resources and support for all things nursing, head over to healthcareandnurses.net.
You can also download our Nurses Link Up app on the Apple Store or Google Play Store.
It's a great way to connect with other nurses and stay updated on what's happening in the nursing world.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into charge capture, I want to leave you with one thought. What new technologies or approaches do you think might change the way we handle documentation and charge capture in the future?
Ooh, that's something to ponder for sure.
It is, and it's something we can all start thinking about now.
Great food for thought. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Healthcare Nurses Network podcast.
It's been a pleasure.
And to all our amazing nurses out there, keep up the fantastic work you do.
You're the backbone of healthcare.
Thank you for listening to the Healthcare Nurses Network podcast.